Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at the GTX580 Lightning from MSI, and I want to say right from the get-go, this is a subsidiary to the main review by Von Blade, or Brian, whatever you want to call him, one of my colleagues at Overclock 3D, and he razzed around the review real quick so he could send it to me. So that I could make you all a video as well. So yeah, Brian razzed it. Admittedly, we have had the card for a little while, but we've obviously had to hold off for NDA. But he sent it to me early part of this week, and yeah, just so that you know, this was the card that was hidden in the H2 video earlier on this week. I did quite enjoy all the kind of people trying to guess to see what it was, but a few of you were correct, and excuse me, it was the MSI Lightning with the twin Frozer 3 cooler on it. Now, without further ado, what I'm going to do is bring you in for a close look around the card. Then we're going to bust straight into some benchmarks and overclocking and everything like that. And then, as always, you'll get my in-depth analysis of the card and the features and everything like that right at the very end. So do stay tuned. Don't forget to go and get yourself a brew, sit there for a little while, do you know what I mean, let it buffer, because it's worth a good look. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack on with that. Video in, okay? Right then, my lovelies, let's have a good look round this. Now, straight away you can see how much bigger than the a PCI bracket that the card is. Obviously this is kind of all extra real estate. When we come around the other side, you can see all the extra card here really. Now, you don't see many cards nowadays with the connections on the back being what appear to be gold plated, whether it's just brass or not, but certainly got a gold tint to it. I've not been able to see the word gold used anywhere in the text that come with the card, but anyway, obviously it comes with the twin Frozer 3 cooler. Now the biggest thing that I can see that's different is if you have a look at the fan blades, you can see that they've got those extra ridges right on the tips of the blades. And I actually quite like that. I've never seen that before on the edges of fan blades, but I really like the look of that. Now on the top of the card you've got here's the voltage monitoring points, and we've got little adapters for these so that you can actually stick your multimeters in. Now on the back we've got a BIOS switch. This does LN2 mode and then a normal mode. Then you've got dip switches here for the voltages. This first one is for the memory voltage switch. If you switch it up, it basically increases the memory voltage. And then you've got one for the GPU V-core. This one says it's for the clock tuner, but then both of these are for the clock tuner, by the way. You have to mess about with it. Different codes depends on the clock tuner. Anyway, this is all for like proper mental extreme clocking. This one here is for the GPU PLL overvolt. And this one is to be able to disable the overcurrent protection. And then we've got another one down here. The first one is for extreme cooling, so like dice or phase if you've got a phase bracket. And then this one down here is for LN2. So it's obviously like different voltages and tweaks like that. I'm not going to pretend that I'm well down with this. Now, for all the big mega overclockers, you'll love all these tweaks. I've got to admit, it is a little bit beyond me, but it's hopefully something that even I would like to learn about, because at the end of the day, we can't all confess to know everything. But normal 2-pin power. Obviously, there's only one GPU on this, but this cooler, even with massive overclocks and silly overvolts and stuff, still manages to remain quiet. So I'm really impressed with that. But the look of it it sticks with the whole MSI twin Frozer tradition, and I'm It's quite neutral. I really love it. But anyway, I think it's time for some nerd porn. If ever there was a moment where I needed to warn you about nerd porn content, it is now. This is one of the few graphics cards that's ever going to give you the nerd horn. You've heard of the pot noodle horn? This is the nerd horn. Right, so this is the back of the twin Frozer cooler. You can see really it's a bloody simple design and it just works. So it just goes to show you that you don't have to have something that's ridiculously complicated to be cool and quiet. Then inside you've got a secondary bracket which helps cool all the memory and MOSFETs and everything like that. We're going to pop this off. You can see the tin pads there for everything underneath. But then there we go. There's the completely redesigned card itself. It's absolutely rammed with all of the components that you'd expect to see on one of these MSI military branded, bomb-proof, gonna last forever, try and kill it if you can kind of cards. But that, I mean, when you think about it, there's not a lot going on around the CPU area, GPU area I should say. So you get good cooling all around here and all for the memory and everything. And then right smack bang next door you've got all the power regulators, everything like that, feeding all that clean sort of like force through power. It's probably got more power than it's ever going to need. Absolutely puckaroony. We'll give you another slow look round it. But anyway, that's it all in bits. And just before anybody asks, I always take the graphics cards apart after I've done all the testing and the rest of the videos. Right then guys, these are the best results that we managed to get out of the card for overclocking. Now, the camera's been a pain in the bum today, but that's plus 150 on the voltage, 960 on the core, 1920 on the shader, and 2250 on the memory. Now we could get the core much higher, but by pushing it any higher, the actual benchmark scores then actually started to drop. Which I'll explain to you in the conclusion, but it's just, at the end of the day, it's just the silicon lottery. This is the limits of the core on this card. You probably will still get cards that will do way more than this, but this one is definitely limited by the core, which is a shame, but it's completely out of our hands, and it's also completely out of MSI's hands as well. But both myself and Brian and even MSI, when they tested this before it got sent out, pretty much we all got the same kind of feel from the card. So, but anyway, yeah, 960 on the core. I will state now, just in case I forget to mention later, that is still the best air clock GTX580 we have ever had. But anyway, let's crack on to some benchmarks. Right then guys, I'm just literally going to open or start 3D Mark 11 running. But what I wanted to kind of draw to your attention is that we've got a monstrous overclock going on in this, or more, we're pumping a lot of volts through. That's the most important thing to bear in mind. We're putting a lot of volts through the card with the, I mean, we're near enough up at the limits of afterburner volt wise, and yet this card still remains to be quite quiet. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you this is so that you can hear it starting to spin up. You can hear it is getting warmer there. We're on to the second phase of 3D Mark 11. What we really need to kind of bear in mind is that this card is technically designed for overclocking. Yeah, I know there are going to be people that are going to buy it for their main rigs, but it is a big overclocking card, and when you build something from the ground up to break world records, you don't necessarily, you know what I mean, design a cooler that is going to be completely silent. But like I said, considering that we have a massive overvolt going on this, those fans are still relatively quiet and coping very well. Yeah, it's not quiet, but like I said, massive overvolts going on. But anyway, I'm going to leave this continue testing now. I just wanted to show you those fans when it was in use. Right then guys, just to show you the two lots of scores. 3D Mark 11 single 580 GTX 580 Lightning with the overclock, don't forget, 960 on the core, 7,337. And then over on the oh, by the way, that was with a graphic score of 7,045. And then over on 3D Mark Vantage, 34,613. That's with a GPU score of 29,529. And then I just want to show you down here at the temps. You can see here, this is the value at the moment. That's the minimum, that's the maximum. So it's not gone above 73 degrees even with that massive overvolt. Anyway, I'm going to run some extreme tests now so we can get a range for you. Right then guys, done an extreme run now. As you can see, we've got 2,406 on 3D Mark 11 with a 2,174 graphics score. And then over on 3D Mark Vantage, we've got 16,208 with a 15,576 GPU score. Going back to the temperatures, as you can see, still the maximum temperature we've had is 73 degrees. Right then guys, on to folding at home. Again, my NVIDIA plug, Team 98860. That's red line folding at Overclock 3D. Anyway, up to the important part. 6801 project. I actually missed one of the projects. I left it on and I actually went shopping and forgot about it. Just come back, but we're doing we're getting 20,432.8 PPD points per day on a single card. Obviously that is with the overclock. But what I do want to show you is that's how much the fans are running, and like I said, that's completed one work unit already. There is a bit of a high pitched whine there, but obviously this is with the card absolutely running at 100%, has been running at 100% for the last 2 hours, and that's how much the fans are blowing. Just goes to show you how good that cooler is. But what I do need to keep stressing is the overvolt. This isn't the card at stock, this isn't the card even stock overclocks or anything like that, and those fans are just running on auto. So although they're not quiet, because of all the extra kind of all the extra volts, in fact it's overclocks, everything like that, running as fast as we can possibly get it. With some cards we'd have to manually set it to 100% just to keep it stable, and this is just amazing. Just goes to show you how good that air cooler is. But anyway, just back again, and there you go. Right guys, onto a bit of gameplay. As this card is predominantly a kind of overclocking world record card, I know people will buy it for gaming, so we'll do a bit of gaming anyway, but this is just We're not going to do what we normally do with all the games. We'll just do Alien vs Predator, Metro, and then good old Crisis. Still very healthy frames per second there. This is the kind of demanding bit. High 40s, 50s, still a bloody good score for this part of this benchmark. I've just turned the audio down if you listen to the fans. Now don't forget what I kept saying previously about the monstrous overvolt and the overclock on this. And that card is still keeping it in check. With other coolers, it would have been wailing like a banshee by now.
What the hell's going on? Shit.
Onto the normal part of Metro that we always play, guys. Still hovering around mid 40s there, up into the 50s. Loads of blood. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's the airy one. It's time to die. Alright, maybe not. Cheeky bugger. Right then guys, on to Crisis. We're playing this absolutely maxed out, 1920 by 1200. We've got it on enthusiast settings and 16 times XQ. Dun, dun, dun. Reload! Woohoo! Plank's gone as well. As you can see there, we were getting down to 30s on big explosions. Yeah. That's the end of that then. Right then guys, end of the video, so it's time for us to all wrap up. Now I want to say straight off the bat, big thanks to my colleague VB, as I mentioned earlier on, for turning it around quickly. Without him turning it around quickly, I wouldn't have been able to have done a video for you. So, muchas gracias. That's right, I was playing with my remote. The MSI GTX580 Lightning. Now, we've discussed this in length, because there's several different opinions, but the long and short of it is basically, this card is made and designed and aimed from the ground up to be an overclocking card. It's not necessarily the type of card that you're going to be chucking in your rig and just using it at stock and running, you know, I mean, and just running it that way. Although there's no reason why you couldn't, because the Twin Frozer air cooler is amazing. But this literally is designed for proper hardcore overclockers looking for every last ounce that they can possibly get out their card. And with all the features on this, it literally, there's pretty much nothing else that you could actually ask from it, short of having, do you know what I mean, an extra power connector or something like that. But it really does cover all the bases. Now our overclocking was ours got to a limit about 960 on the core, which is still the best 580 that we've ever tested. But But one of the things that I have been hearing is there's quite a few of these cards floating about which overclock even more. So the only way I can kind of explain it is the good old silicon lottery. Sometimes you can get one with an amazing GPU on it, sometimes you're going to get ones that not. It's not the card itself, it's the actual core from Nvidia. Some of them have just got a lower threshold, just like you'll get with CPUs. Some of them will overclock, you know, mildly, and then others will just carry on going and going and going and going and going. But obviously, to actually hand test every core, the price of this would go up through the roof. I have heard that somebody I talked to on MSN has got one of these, which is stable at 1100 on the core. And when I asked him, I said, do the scores drop off? He said no, literally throughout testing, every time I took it up a notch, the scores were going up. So just this kind of like put it into perspective, this one isn't that brilliant. But there are some of these about with a golden 580 core on it, and they're just going and going and going and going. So, you know, just to clarify, the only thing that's holding this card back is the actual core from Nvidia. It's nothing to do with what MSI have attached around the outside. Now, awards. It's blatantly the best 580 we've ever had. So we're going to give it a gold award, but we're also going to give it a performance award as well, because it's just, it is phenomenal. And it really is worth mentioning about the Twin Frozer 3. If MSI sold those coolers separately, I swear to God, they'd sell out so fast, as they are. It is probably the best manufacturer cooler, because you can't really get these anywhere else. It's not something like the Sapphires quite often use Arctic cooling coolers. This is MSI design built. You can't get them anywhere else. But if you could, I'd probably be telling you to go and buy them. So yes, an amazing card. For those of you out there that bench, overclock, or just want this silly, crazy best card that you can get for your money, then the GTX580 Lightning definitely is the best of the 580s we've ever tested. I've got a few things that might be getting done with this in the pipeline further down the road, but we're going to have to see what happens. There could be a little bit of a cheeky surprise in there for you. But yes, as ever, if you want to see all the benchmarks and graphs and everything like that, look at the review link underneath the video. That will take you to the Overclock 3D site where Brian's written review is, and you can go and look at all the comparisons there with other cards and everything like that. But all in all, an absolute stonker of a graphics card from MSI, and it's now time for me to sign off, say this is another video from Tiny Tom Logan, and pretty much the only thing left to say now is